And here is a speaker that I'm so excited about, Senator Michelle Benson. I met her 2012 when Israel still was new. And the reason I never shared this story, was that as I was a rookie advocate for health, then they used to call it health disparity. I was a graduate student. I was like, keep asking, why disparity exists. What I was asking all those whys, not knowing if you're a rookie lobbyist or advocate, you really don't want to do those. You don't want to agitate legislators. As I was sitting somewhere at the Senate, someone said, I need to reach out. I need to cross the aisle. I need to figure out how do I engage people on the other side. People from the other side. And then I met Senator Benson, and she came over to one of our events, and it was a relationship that was developed, and it was a line that started. What I love about Senator Benson is she's no nonsense woman, and a mom, a wife, an amazing legislator, and I found out you were a CPA too. Now I can tell why you are where you are. I do appreciate everything you do for us, for our state and women. And thank you so much for speaking. Senator Michelle Benson, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I am so grateful for this invitation to speak at your International Women's Day event. It is an honor that you, Fartoum, considered me a bridge builder. You spoke to me about that, and you actually talked about how we together are bridge builders. So let's celebrate the fact that women are bridge builders. We need to be proud of this strength because it is how we help shape our world. It takes each of us looking at our assets so that we can move those assets forward. If your asset is leadership or administration or compassion, being reserved or being a free spirit, you need to acknowledge those assets and help to grow them. But then we also need to look at some of our weaknesses that can be strengths and can be weaknesses. For example, the courage to build leadership can also lead us to rush in without necessarily thinking ahead. And something that is patience can be seen as timidity, but it can also lead us to slow our decision making and miss opportunities. And so as women, we need to look at our strengths and our weaknesses as opportunities to build bridges. We need to be intentional about that support and strengthening each other. We can do all of this by acknowledge that we come from different places. We have different experiences, but we need to celebrate those differences and learn from each other. As Fartoum mentioned, we first met when I was in the Senate, and she was a young, emerging, very thoughtful, energetic activist. So she came to the Capitol and reached out to me. So let's give credit where credit is due. She sought to be a bridge builder, to seek what she didn't have or what she wanted to learn more about. And our Minnesota Capitol can be an intimidating place. It is a beautiful marble building. If you haven't been there, you need to go. But it can be really intimidating to walk through those doors and sign in to get permission to talk to someone. And, I have a title, Senator. Even though I'm a mom, I'm a regular person. I unpack my own dishwasher and wash my own clothes, take my kids to school in the morning. Sometimes it doesn't feel like senators are regular people. So Fartoum said, I'm going to take this risk. And Fartoum, you and I can talk another time about what it might have felt like walking into that office. But I know that approaching people with influence can be intimidating. She, of course, didn't let that get in the way of asking for an appointment. And I would encourage any of you, as you reach out to legislators or anyone of influence, the worst they can say is no. So all I had to do was say yes. And I've learned the importance of saying yes to a person I've never met, saying yes to a topic that I hadn't been exposed to or really thought about very deeply, saying yes to someone who is from a very different background. But this was an easy yes for me because Fortune made it easy to say yes. She was talking about something that was passionate to her. And as I saw that passion, that commitment, her desire to help me learn, because this is a two-way street. So she asked, I said yes. Then she had passion, but she also wanted to make sure that I didn't gap from where I was in my worldview to where she was in her worldview. She helped me understand that together we could help change the lives of new immigrants in Minnesota, something she wanted to do and something that I believe was very valuable. She educated me in a way that was easy for me to understand because we started with our shared experiences as women and as our concern with our shared concern for women and children. And I want you to think about the difference in our backgrounds, the things we had to overcome before she could ask and I could accept this initial meeting that formed this bridge and taught me so very much. So I'm sorry, just a second. So she came from a large city in an African nation. I came from a small town right here in Minnesota. So my town had 300 people. My graduating class was 44. There's a good chance there are more people on this Zoom call than were in my graduating class. Her father had died when she was young. My father died only this last year. She was transported from a country that was warm to the harsh winters of Minnesota. I had only traveled, to places in the United States, really, a little bit in Europe, but certainly didn't understand what her experience was in Africa. She left a land that had been scarred by war, whereas I had only heard about war and read about it in our history books. I lived in the land of relative peace. But something she shared with me just a short time ago helped me realize once again that we have so much in common. She told me about her mom, that her mom could not read or write, and that after her father died, her mother took responsibility for the entire family. She had high expectations for her children. Her mother worked to support her children and to set that example that is so important for children as we expect them to grow and serve in this world. I come from a long line of strong women as well. My mother, my grandmothers, my aunts, who lived very close to me, all worked really hard to raise their children by work and example and instruction. Never forget, sometimes moms say, do as I say, not as I do. But they were also very humble women. They were farm wives, unpretentious. They grew and canned food for the families. That's pretty simple. They made clothes for their children so that we always looked neat and clean as we went to church and went to school. They had a deep faith and a determination to keep moving ahead. There were some truly awful times in their lives. Nothing like the wars that Fortune's family had to flee, but certainly deep poverty, loss of children. There was pain that had to be overcome, but they kept going. So this is where I came from, and that is where Fortune came from. We came from families with high expectations for work and education, families that expected their children to continue to grow and do better, to build on the shoulders, on the strengths of the women who had come before them. So what does that teach us? Make the ask. No matter how different someone is, make the ask. And if you have the opportunity, say the yes. Spend time learning about each other, because there will be places where you have commonalities that you can build off of. We all have complementary assets, complementary skills. So as we look for those who complement our assets and seek to lift each other up, that is a great way to build a bridge. And once you build that bridge, you become stronger and lift up those around you. Now, as women, we naturally seek to connect. We tend to do it more than men, although I would caution us to not always be comparing ourselves to men, even though many of us are in a male-dominated culture or professional experience. My undergraduate degree was chemistry. Science was very male-dominated at the time I was getting my degree. I then moved into accounting and consulting, again, male dominated, and politics, again, mostly men, mostly formed by men. So I try not to continually compare myself to men. So we just need to be intentional about not saying, I'm a woman, therefore, or they're a man, therefore. We need to start with what is strong in us. And what I found to be true, the women I work with, that we naturally seek to connect. Maybe it's because for all of human history, we were raising children, and that taught us that a human connection is not only important, but it's also essential. Raising children has always required us to lean on others and to learn from others. Our desire to make the world better for our children often propels us into places that are uncomfortable and difficult. It can be small things like providing food on our own kitchen table to large visions like literacy and seeking justice. And whether you have children or not, women often seek to do collaborative work. That is one of our blessings and one of our challenges as we move forward in this world. So by building each other up and building bridges, we can learn how to keep moving forward from a place of strength. It does take courage and vulnerability to build bridges. Remember, Fortune came to my office with a very small ask, but I'm sure it took some vulnerability to take that step. Admitting we don't have all the answers can be one of the hardest lessons we learn. Everybody wants to feel strong, but taking that moment to step back and say, I don't get this, I don't know how, I can't do this alone, is very human and very humbling, but also a great opportunity to let someone build a bridge to you. There's something else that we tend to not be great at, admitting that we're really good at something. Sometimes what can be false humility is just holding us back. Know what you're good at. It's not bragging if you can do it. So stand up and be proud of what you're good at so someone can reach out to you when they have a need. We need to seek opportunities to overcome our perceived shortcomings, not to dwell on them. Because if you dwell on them, they can never become an asset. If you spend your time thinking about what you're not good at, then it draws you down and it keeps you isolated from people who could lift you up. So seek opportunities to overcome those things that you're not good at. You will find someone with a complementary strength. And with that complementary strength, you will be lifted up and they will be lifted up. In many cases, what we perceive as a weakness is actually a strength for someone else. That moderating voice for the person who would rush forward into any breach. Someone with a little more patience and timidity might say, well, how about we check to see what step 2 is before we rush full on into the breach. It helps us be better when we work in a complementary way. But for those in power, and I've had this privilege of having responsibility and power, everyone has some level of responsibility and power in your home, in your community, in your place of worship, in government, in a nonprofit, in your business. You have the opportunity to share your strength and lift people up around you. It is critical if we are to get better as women, as a society, acknowledge your strengths and reach out so that every person that you touch is better because they've met you. So I will remind you again, each of you has an asset, a gift, a strength, a power. There is someone you can lift up with that strength, with that gift, with that power. There is someone out there who will enhance your gift, who will make you better because they connected with you and you are in their life. Please, I ask you, seek that woman. Build that bridge. You, because of your seeking, because of your bridge building, will make every life you touch, every community you serve, and the place we all live that much stronger. So I want to thank each of you. I'm encouraging you to reach out to me so we can become bridge builders together, so that my weaknesses become strengthened, that your strengths are shared. I want to thank each of you for being here today, for reaching out to this diverse panel and allowing me to participate in it. I have so much to learn from the assets of others, so much to learn from the people who come to me and the people I seek out. This was one of the greatest privileges of my time as a senator, and I'm so grateful for the invitation. Thank you.
Senator Benson, as you were talking, I'm usually not that emotional, but you're amazing, and you just talked about strengths and bridge building. I am so grateful that you took the time. I know HHS bills are happening right now, and thank you so much for taking the time. And believe me, this bridge is stronger. I'm hoping that more. I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm just being out there helping, developing relationships. So we will be in touch, and happy International Women's Day. Go do your job as you do well, and thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Have a great day. Bless you all.
Thank you, Senator.